Despite the challenges this year, we've actually seen some really cool bikes and tech launching here at GMBN Tech.
That is correct, Doddy. Here are a few of our favourites, both from the industry and the very little race season that we did have this year.
Okay, so we're going to try and keep this loosely categorised, but don't blame us if we go off on a little bit of a tangent because we like talking about bikes. What are we going to start with, Rich?
Well, dude, we are starting with a whippet of a bike, a thoroughbred.
So we're going XC?
We're going XC, yeah. I love a little skinny XC bike, me. And what better than the Specialised Epic to start things off? 20 years in the making, this thing. Well, not 20 years the name has been around, should we say. Do
you know, they're annoyingly good at making bikes.
Yeah,
I can't really name a bad bike they've made. Actually, the really old Epic. Well, the original Epic, actually, was pretty bad.
Have you seen that New Balance bike of theirs?
Well, no, I think it's amazing if you've got, like, really deep pockets, but or you're mad.
Yeah, or you're mad. But no, the latest incarnation of the Epic is an absolute looker and super duper light, very progressive as well for an XC bike with what have we got here? A 67.5 degree head angle, sizing from extra small to extra large, which is pretty cool. A fairly long reach at 495 on the XL as well, which is
that is long for an XC bike.
That's longer than my Canyon Strive.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah, that's longer than my Canyon Strive as well. So, and it's got the brain inertia shock, the rock shocks, which I'm going to throw to you a little bit on that one because tech stuff.
Well, yeah, it's an inertia valve, so basically you can dial in the way the shock wants to lock out to your movement, basically, not the terrain movement. So you can have it very firm, so it barely moves where you're pedalling, sprinting, that sort of thing, but you hit an obstacle, rock, roof, small person, anything like that, and it will unlock. Or you can have it on a minimal setting and it's very active. So, yeah, it's a really efficient system. But when it first came out, it wasn't too good because the bike was almost bipolar. You couldn't tell if it was a suspension bike or if it was a rigid bike. It was so extreme, but they've mastered it now.
Oh, nice. So is that kind of like Fox's live valve, but without the electronics?
Kind of, yeah. Similar principle, yeah.
Interesting.
Arguably, it's going to be lighter because you haven't got the batteries and the other stuff going with it. But they've been working on it an awful long time. I forget when the original one came out, but this is certainly a lot better than that.
Oh, nice.
I might throw, actually, the complete opposite way to something extremely light, that Canyon Exceed, which I think is the lightest production. I might be wrong in this. I'm pretty sure it's the lightest production cross-country bike or lightest production mountain bike.
Frame. I think it's frame. 740 grams, I think?
750 odd grams, yeah. That's ridiculous. So 750 grams is about, hold on, I'm pretty sure, I did check this out the other day. So it's a can of these, my keys.
Oh my goodness.
And an Allen key and a biro. There you go.
It's not far off. So that is a frame right there.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? A frame that you can ride.
Well, blow me down.
It's a pretty high-tech frame as well in the way it's made. This is it. You can see on the screen. So they're using M40X fibre in combination with Touray's nano alloy resin system. That's what you need to know, really. The way it's laid up is extremely light, but somehow very durable.
I know. But hang on. Don't be put off by the price. If you think it's really expensive, there are actually different grades. So we've got the CFR, the SLX, and the CF. So there are sort of price points and different frames for everyone out there as well. So yeah, don't be.
Canyon are very good at that, to be fair, on the whole, offering a bike for everyone. You know, and you can still get the look. So a lot of them you get, even in like spectrals and stuff, you get an alloy one that might be a bit cheaper, base model, but at a glance, it looks just as good as the top end CFR model.
And the angles are the same.
Yeah. It's banging.
There's some other contenders as well, mate. We've got the Trek Super Caliber.
Do you know what?
It's a trick bit of kit.
That actually is one of my favourites. Like, I didn't know where to draw the line here on what we're going to talk about.
Is that a full sus or a? Well, it's not a hardtail, but it's not a full sus.
No,
but it is a full sus.
It's nearer to what a soft tail would be, I think.
Yeah, because there's no pivot, is there?
No. But I love the fact that the shock itself, unlike on many other bikes, is a structural part of the bike. Yeah. So it actually helps the stiffness of it.
I think we might see that creep in on a few more companies in the future.
It makes perfect sense for cross-country, that's for sure.
BMC 4-stroke, also a weapon. Cannondale Scalpel, lovely.
That BMC, though, the integrated dropper post alone. Come on, everyone out there, design an integrated dropper post. That's what we want to see. It looks so neat and tidy, you don't even notice it's on there.
And one, I haven't seen actually this around too much, but the Mondraker F Podium. Easy Tiger, look here.
I'd have to say, that's what I'd have tomorrow if I could have a cross-country bike. In fact, I'd chuck a slightly longer fork on it, but we're going to get into that sort of, I don't know, no man's land category. We'll get into that one shortly. There's some amazing cross-country bikes out there.
I thought you were going to say down country then.
No, you're going to say that a bit later, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't use a word as offensive as that.
Blasphemy.
I'd say triple XC.
Oh. Is that a thing?
It is now.
Oh, God.
Okay, so let's jump into hardtails now. We'll keep this pretty broad because of the fact I think the most exciting hardtails, you can slag me off for saying this, but I think the new sort of modern hardtails, you can go to the woods and just smash them about.
Hardcore hardtails.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So the Marin bike's Elroy. So it's actually a really great value bike, comes in 2 sizes. Our UK friends actually at a base not too far from here had a lot of development of this bike. This is it on screen. Pretty simple, pretty cheap, rides unbelievably well, and it's a complete steal. The 2 sizes, so it's 29-inch wheels. You get 480 reach and 510 reach, and it comes with a 140mm travel Marzocchi fork, which kind of tells you its intentions.
Yeah, a 63-degree head angle as well, and that is slack as hell.
Treat it mean.
Keep them keen.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we've got the Yeti ARC.
That's the complete opposite.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
Maybe a trail hardtail, but it's the complete opposite.
It really is. Again, 67-degree head angle, so, you know,
bit more agile feeling, arguably.
Definitely, yeah. I think that'd be like a good all-day bike.
Yeah, well, it's a Yeti as well, so it gets the super nice, irritatingly. They always do. But, they're beautiful. Yeah, super low-slung frame. It's got that very lovely sort of sculpture on the frames that Yeti are so famous for. And, well, it's a Yeti, isn't it?
It's just a Yeti.
Kind of has to go in that category.
I mean, it's not just a Yeti, it's just a Yeti.
It's a Yeti. It's a Yeti. Also in the same category, actually, and kind of very similar outline to the Elroy, is that Kona Honzo ESD.
Yeah, that looks
another like mega slack. I think that's 63 as well on the front.
Yes, yeah. I think you're right there. Another great winter bike, I reckon, for just blasting around on.
You've been riding something fairly longer than you as far as hardtails go. You've been riding one of the Polos.
I have indeed. Yeah. Yes, yeah. That is.
I often wonder with these new sort of breed of hardtails. Part of me really likes the idea and the intention of them, but the other part's kind of. You know, the front end is writing a check and the back end ain't going to cash it, is it? You know, you're going to smash the wheel to pieces.
That is true. You do kind of come into sections sometimes thinking, oh, yes, hero. And then, like, the back end catches up and you're like, oh, my God, I'm drifting everywhere. And it gets a little bit wild. So you're like, 140, 150 up front, really slack. But then the back end is like...
Just
mental.
Taking all the
It's just mental, yeah. It's just going left, right and centre.
Yeah, interested to know what people think about the sort of the hardcore style hardtails. Yeah. Are they really good? Are they going to make you spend more money on rear wheels and stuff as you smash them, or do you not care? Any comments would be good.
Yeah, let us know. Right, Doddy, we mentioned this name earlier, and it's a confusing one. Down Country. Yeah. Explain.
Fake news, I think.
Agreed.
No, jokes aside, so Down Country has been chucked as a label on essentially cross-country bikes have been beefed up a bit. And that's really what I see them as. They're literally a 100mm travel bike. You might have a slightly bigger fork, like a 120, and slightly more durable tyres than the race tyres, and maybe a dropper post, things like that. Kind of like that Yeti I slung together for that Shimano video. It really was a cross-country bike just with some tyres that I don't have to be too careful of.
The problem is I see it as one, an identity-confused muddle of a bike.
Yep.
That is neither XC nor trail. You're going to hop on it and be like, oh, well, this feels a bit more capable. Oh, I've just smashed it to pieces because I thought it could go faster than it can.
Yes, I agree. There's definitely going to be issues with that sort of thing.
Just run a 130mm trail bike, surely. Because the problem is that most of these companies, they're just trying to over-burly an XC bike.
Yeah.
And make a trail bike lighter. So why not just ride a trail bike?
Yeah, I think the problem is they're trying to release bikes that people just naturally do those things to. So I would do that to a cross-country bike, but I would treat it with respect. I wouldn't try and ride it like a trail bike. I'd still go for a cross-country ride.
Yeah.
I'd just want to be a bit more comfortable doing it. I see exactly what you're saying. I do think it's a bit of an odd niche.
I'm definitely split. It's one or the other, I think.
But there's some really cool bikes.
There are. Granted, there are some cool bikes out there.
Should you have a look at some?
Yeah, go on, let's have a gander.
We're not going to get anywhere with this. I think we both agree that it's just a bit of an obscure category. Like those rugby students who wear flip-flops and short shorts. Yeah, with puffer jackets.
You know who you are.
What are you doing?
You know who you are.
Just put some trousers on. For God's sake. Yeah, so transition spur. First up.
Yes.
And you can't deny it's a lovely bike. And knowing transition, it's actually a bit tougher. I think it's more of a short travel trail bike.
Oh, God. Come on.
So they say aggressive cross-country, down-country bike from the Party bike brand.
Are you sure it's not a long travel down country bike?
It's ridiculous. Well, look, it's got a 66-degree head angle on it, right? That's pretty telling.
Yeah.
That's not very cross-country. No. You'd think north of 67, maybe even 68
yeah,
for a
I would say
cross-country
so.
bike.
Yeah.
50mm stem is based around with a 180mm dropper post.
Yeah.
That's basically a bike to treat really mean.
2.4 exo tyres.
I've got a new category idea here. Hold on.
Go on.
It's like a trail version of a four-cross bike, isn't
it? Trail cross bike?
Trail cross. There we go. Maybe it should be that. Because four-cross bikes are strong, but they're also light. So maybe it could be a new one. So decent reach, 425 to 510. It's a 480 on a large. So that's like bang up, like on point with all modern trail and enduro bikes as well.
Yep.
435mm chainstays. It's really nice.
And another brand spanking new one out, the Merida 960, which Blake and I believe
that kind
Neil
of went under my radar. It's a really good-looking bike.
I think Merida even, are sort of dark horses in the bike world.
We know like they're one of the biggest bike brands
out
there. They make bikes for everyone.
Second in the biggest in the world.
They actually made a bike very similar to the original Specialized Epic. Very similar.
Who made it first?
Merida made the Specialized, I think, but...
Oh, yeah, true. Okay.
Not really sure, to be honest, but the Merida was a single pivot linkage driven, and the Specialized, of course, was a 4-bar, and they both had different style shocks, but they both had an inertia system.
And that's why you do the tech channel.
But the Specialized was way nicer, got to say.
Yeah, true. But this one, Neil and Blake rode it, and they've definitely proved that you can go pretty hard on a down country bike. I'll give them that. Yeah. They put it through its paces. 67-degree head angle, 120 up front, slightly chunkier tyres.
Well, I think Neil is the right person to ride a bike like that. Blake, categorically the wrong person.
Yeah, no.
Blake
too many moving parts.
His corners are 90 degrees. You know, like someone like that shouldn't ride a bike that light. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we love you, Blake.
So another bike that could quite literally be in the wrong category here, the Mondraker F Podium again. They do a down-country build on it. And do you know what the difference is?
A longer fork.
Tougher tyres and a 120 fork. It's the same bike as their XC race bike, the same super light frame.
There's a pattern emerging here,
See,
isn't there?
to me that appeals. But I wouldn't destroy it. I would ride it as a cross-country bike.
Yeah, I think that's it then. So I think these bikes are going to be suited to a certain type of rider, aren't they? So you've got to be a bit lighter on the bike.
Yeah.
Your all-day epic kind of rides.
That's really valid. Like, it's not for someone who wants to go to bike parks. It's not for someone to go jumping like that. It's just not that sort of bike.
For me personally as well, I would rather ride an XC bike, which I know its capabilities of and what its intentions are, and then I'd hop on my Reactor, which is a solid trail bike, and happily thrash things.
But what if you were to do something like Neil did and did the BC bike race? He wanted a cross-country bike because you don't want to be riding something as weighty as a trail bike. You need the light bike, but he did need slightly tougher tyres for the race, and he did need a little bit more travel just to reduce fatigue.
Well,
he could pin anything.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what he did to his
So for
bike.
that, I mean, in that example then, without going on to it, for that, I would do that to the bike, because that's for that 1 week,
so
but then I put it back.
Purpose. Okay, yeah.
And then I put it back and stick to XC on it.
Okay. All right, so here's two bikes then that kind of are blurring a category that doesn't really exist towards trail bikes. The Yeti SB115, so 115mm travel, so it is a little bit bigger than the downcountry spec. Very nice. And the Evil Following, 120mm travel. But that is not a downcountry bike. That is a trail bike. It's just it's tough as boots, that thing.
110, 115 downcountry, anything more, your trail bike territory.
I went on a riding trip with Cal from Evil years back.
Were you following him?
No, he was following me actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was the cameraman on that trip. So that was when it first came out. It was just 120 front and rear, 29er.
Yeah.
And he was given that bike to take on a trip, and I think I had like a 160, 170, 27.5 bike.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh man, I got the wrong bike." But he rode the hell out of that bike, and I think he was totally from that moment forth was like, "You don't need much travel, big wheels." Like, does a lot. That's a Verbier as well. Pretty choppy in places.
Yeah, that's a wild place. That is true.
And the bike survived, no damage.
And the rider?
Yeah, absolutely fine. He did have one hilarious crash though. If I can find a picture of it, I'll share it online because it was really good. But, yeah.
Right, let's move on, Dolly.
Okay, up into the trail category now. So So this is, I think, this is like every man or every woman's bike. This is what most mountain bikers should really aspire to own, because of the fact that you can ride any terrain, up or down, light enough all day. You could make them light enough to race cross country by putting some light stuff on, or you can make them heavy duty enough with hardcore wheels and tyres to ride in bike parks.
Would you say the Swiss Army knife of the bike world?
100%.
Trail bike?
Yep, definitely. And I think they are the best. So, Privateer, I'm going to throw straight in there.
Yep.
So, a fairly new brand on the block, making very progressive bikes. The frames, let's just say they're a bit more simplistic looking. They're not like as refined as some of the more expensive bikes.
Built to last.
Yeah, but you also get a hell of a lot of bike for the money. Angles are great, progressive geometry, long front ends, slack head angles, really steep seat angles for climbing, proven suspension platform. They work brilliantly.
Yeah, and really, sort of for the price as well, incredibly well spec'd, aren't they? So value bang for buck is like bang on.
Am I right in thinking that they had someone racing EWS on them as well?
Yeah, Matty Stoddard.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
did very good. I think he finished top 20 overall. Yeah, he was on, but he was on the bigger brother, the 161.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, on a privateer.
It's exactly the same layout bike. They
Yeah.
just make them for different categories.
Yeah, that's it. The YT Izzo.
Oh, yes. Do you know, that really appeals to me, that bike.
It's some clean lines on that thing, isn't it? That is a stunning looking
Kind
bike.
of reminds me a little bit of some Mondrakers, you know, the real slender top tube that goes almost straight into those seat stays.
Yeah, it's where it all carries
really
on in
good
a straight line. Looks very nice. And do you know what, though? They do from a small to double XL. So for you taller guys out there, should we say, that is a very good option, isn't it? Yeah.
And also, I think they made the coolest launch video of any bike
did,
company.
Yeah, the anime sort of
so cool, those sort of manga style stuff. Mental good.
Yeah.
Must have cost a fortune.
And bizarrely, though, YT's first actual short travel bike.
Yeah.
We say short travel, so 130 mil?
Yeah.
130 mil. So that is...
their first bike was the Capra, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is now up to 170 on the back.
Wasn't the original Jeffsy short travel and it went
140,
longer?
I think.
Okay.
I think it was 140. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think it was 140. But yeah, so very interesting looking bike.
Yeah, definitely a good contender as an all-man's bike, I think.
Definitely.
So what else we got then? There's a few other good ones in there. I've got to throw that nuke-proof reactor, the alloy model, in there.
Yes.
Absolutely steel. And I actually think it looks a bit better than some of the carbon ones. Sorry, Rob, nuke-proof. I think it looks like it's almost raw, like the finish on it.
Yes.
It looks really good.
The new one in raw. I rode an alloy one last year before this year's carbon one, and it's like Old Faithful. It just kept on going. Yeah, absolutely indestructible. We also have the High Tower Santa Cruz. Yeah,
so completely different end of the spectrum as far as budget goes. Like that's like a super bike, really.
Very nice. And also the Norco Optic.
Oh, do you know what? Norco are doing some really good stuff again.
They do, aren't they?
You know, they had a bit of a lull period where they were just making all right bikes, and now they're suddenly making like incredible stuff. Yeah. Really progressive geometry. Awesome.
I know. Right, now we're into it though. We're into the big boys, the Enduro bikes.
Oh, okay.
This is what we like to see. Yeah.
So do you know what? I find this this is a bit of a misused name as well, because I see Enduro as a race format.
It is,
and
yeah,
I see
definitely.
the bikes you do it on as all mountain bikes, but you might put like way tougher tyres on them to make them race capable.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you are with an Enduro bike. You're running that fine line between almost downhill durability and strength, but with trail bike. Should we say weight?
Yep.
Because, you got to do big days on these things, so you don't want to be hauling around an absolute tank of a bike.
But then it has to be strong enough. Enduro arguably is the toughest for the bike, let alone the competitor. It's so rough.
Yeah.
You can't do this on something too lightweight. It has to be durable enough, has to have good angles on there to both handle the terrain and also to stop you getting too fatigued as a rider.
For sure. I would argue that an EWS stages on average are harder than World Cup downhill stages.
I think you're right.
I think a lot of people would probably agree there.
Yeah.
And then when you do 6 of those in a day, there you go.
So what sort of mileage are you talking for a big day out, one of those?
A big day out in EWS could be 40 to 50k. Yeah, with a lot of climbing, a couple of thousand metres of climbing.
Quite often altitude as well.
Yeah, so like EWS Chile, the average stage time was 10, 11 minutes long.
That's a long time.
6 stages.
And now, what are you riding at, 80%? You've got to save something.
Well, they say that. People say, but really you're more like 90, 95 because you're still timed at the end of the day. So you still got to go full gas.
Still scared, like running.
Full percent. But what have we got? We've got the new Rocky Mountain Altitude.
Yes.
Which has had a heck of a debut this year under Jesse Melamed.
It really has, hell of a rider. Do you know what? I really love that brand. Like I always have. They've got the coolest website name as well. They've got bikes.com.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, how'd you get that? Oh, it's
They
genius.
must have been in the game early for that one.
Just before websites were getting big.
Yeah, definitely. But we've got 160mm on the back, 170 up front, so it's a bruiser. What have we got? Big sizes, all the way medium to extra large. Ride 9 shock adjustment. So this is
That's like a 4-way shock chip
yeah,
thing,
so
isn't
this
it?
is how they tune you can custom tune their frames, which is quite a clever little.
Yeah, I think as well as adjusting geometry, it actually adjusts the feel of the suspension as well, which normally you might get slightly more or slightly less, but I think it makes it feel more progressive or less.
Yeah.
Which is really
a word.
Yeah, it is now.
Put that in the dictionary.
Yeah, it's all good.
But yeah, that does look tight. 64.4 degree head angle. So actually slightly steeper than some of the hardtails we spoke about earlier.
It is, yeah. But then bear in mind on a hardtail, it's kind of like a big lever, isn't it? So it's going to get steeper with,
true.
Whereas on a suspension bike, it's a bit more balanced front and rear.
Very true.
Sag. Vitus. Got to throw Vitus out there.
I was a Vitus guy.
Oh, right, we'll go Vitus. No. But their Summit bike, the price tag alone, let alone how it looks and what you're getting for the money. This is it on screen. We were waxing lyrical about these a few weeks back on the Tech Show. So 27.5, 170mm travel, and also 29 with 162mm travel. 4 sizes, 64 degree head angle on them. Good old faithful between both of them. Plenty of options as far as sizing goes. Pricing from $2,399. So
that's
is
crazy, isn't it?
$299 in US dollars and $2,799 in euros.
Wow.
A complete bike ready to race.
With a Yari up front and a Super Deluxe out back as well.
There's not really much you change on it. Good tyres, Assegai and Mini N2s, DHR2s.
Yeah. Yeah, I think out the box, that's like a really great option for people getting into riding or racing.
Do you know, we kind of had this chat before we were filming, but you can't really argue that you don't need much more full stop for anything. Like, that's like, buy the bike, done.
Yeah, it really is. I think, and it's very hard. There are a few at a good price as well. I think there are a few companies that do that these days. So I think that's a really viable option.
Considered the spec that's on there.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. But guys like we said earlier, the privateer as well, out the box at a great price.
Yeah,
ready to go.
So don't forget, if you are considering buying, coming into mountain biking, you don't need to spend that much money. And also, you can sort of future-proof yourself by, a lot of people will insist on spending loads of money on upgrades. Don't. Wait till you wear things out. Like your transmission is consumable parts. So when they're worn out, then you could consider upgrading to something lighter, perhaps, if that's what you wanted. And the same with suspension. Get it set up right, it's going to work well. Later, as you become a better rider, you could decide if you wanted to put some volume spaces in there, or in the RockShox Yari case, upgrade the internals to make it like a
couldn't agree more. Honestly, like the amount of people you see riding around, if they're like, oh, my suspension doesn't work, so they just go buy a new suspension. You're like, that's not your problem. You just need to actually set your suspension up properly.
Yep.
But I mean, we could go into this. This is a whole other topic.
Right, and there's a lot to be said. Just get used to it.
Yeah, just
we all
tune
know that
it.
person that hasn't set up a bike particularly well, but they're used to it and they just like nail it everywhere.
Yeah.
So a lot to be said for just getting out there and loving your bike.
But, like we said, we could go on about that one for a long time.
We could indeed.
Yeah, but what else are we under the Enduro bike category? The Spec Enduro?
Annoyingly, can't argue. Specialized are amazing at making bikes, and they've done it again.
The brand spanking new Nukeproof Mega.
That
nice
is
overhaul.
phenomenal.
Yeah, loving that.
I was always a fan of the Mega, but it was never quite right for me. The bigger size in the 29 with like the geometry and layout, I loved it, but I could never quite get the suspension how I liked it.
Yeah, sure. I think a gripe for a lot of people, annoyingly, was the lack of being able to take a bottle properly.
Yes, of course.
Because otherwise, you could mount one at the bottom.
Yeah.
But you'll be tasting a whole lot more than water if you have your bottle there.
Oh yeah, dog eggs. Yeah.
So this complete overhaul, it's slightly longer, slacker, the sort of the usual upgrades if you like, but it also has space for a large bottle.
It does, and it's also barely any heavier than their trail bike, the Reactor. Like I've got one of each at the moment. The Mega's just a borrowed bike, and I think there's less than a pound difference in weight.
That's incredible.
And it's a much bigger, more capable bike.
Yeah. Yeah, so
it rides so good.
Yeah, and then finally we got the Caliber Sentry. I mean, to be honest, I've not seen too much of this.
Do you know, because I sold them all, I think. Like, honestly, one of the best value bikes we've seen.
Well, it's up on screen now if you want to check out. Look at that amazing spec on it.
£3,000.
That's good, isn't it?
£3,000, full race spec. Proper dropper post, proper fork, proper shock, proper everything, hand specced.
Proper job.
Yeah, very, very good bike. Yeah, proper job, I like that. It's good beer, that too. This is a category I'm pretty disconnected from, because I just don't ride them anymore. But I love them. I think arguably downhill bikes or gravity bikes are the coolest. What do you think?
Agreed. Yeah, they're like the Formula One of mountain biking in a way still, aren't they? That and cross country are like the Formula One disciplines. But we got some great ones here. So whether you are putting in park laps, absolutely shredding, or downhill racing, there are some great bikes out there. First up, the Canyon Sender.
Yeah.
Very nice
Can't
bike.
deny it for value for money as well, with the spec that you're going to get on the bike. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still an expensive bike.
Yeah, true. Interestingly, small and mediums are mullet.
Yep.
Large and extra large, full 29s.
So
wheel options there.
Yeah, you're seeing this. You're going to see this a lot more next year, I think, in 21 and 22 coming.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
for sure.
22 bikes are going to be coming out soon. Like, what the?
I know.
What sort of
And
industry are we in?
Canyon have been pushing this hard because they have got a hell of a lineup of riders as well.
Yeah.
So you've got obviously Jack Moyer on the Enduro side of things. You've got Chaos Seagrave. You've got Troy Brosnan, Tani Seagrave. There's tons of others out there. The free riding side of things. So yeah, that Sender's being sent.
So the cool thing about the Sender is, it could be a race bike, which I guess might appeal from your sort of background more. But from my point of view, the cool thing about a downhill bike is just days in bike parks. In particular, like chairlift-led parks.
Yeah, just chill a lap.
You can just have fun, but you don't also need a downhill bike for that. There are other more sort of park-orientated bikes. So Norco Shore on the screen now. So this is just a bruiser to just hammer all season long. So if you're thinking of going to do a season out, be a season out even, like do a season in, Queenstown or Whistler or wherever, this might be a great option for you because you can still ride this all day outside of the park, but it's going to survive the sort of punishment from just breaking bumps and endless downhill runs.
Certainly looks solid. Straight out of the box, ready to race again. You can't nuke-proof descent.
Yeah, 100%. I'd add in the Saracen Mist as well.
Yes.
Because they've got great value options as well as that carbon top-end one.
Very true, but enough of value. Let's just go all in with a Santa Cruz V10.
It's the nicest one, isn't it?
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Hey, and the first real people to commit to 29 for downhill.
They were,
as well.
They
got it right, and they made everyone else look stupid to start with.
They did.
Yeah.
Everyone was scratching it, and they go up to 3XL. Thank you, Greg Menard, for that.
Yeah. Do you know what? That really pleases me. I think his bike actually is my favourite of all of the race bikes.
They're trick bikes,
for a lot of reasons. I love the fact that they committed and they worked on the 29. Yeah. I love the fact that Minar's a pretty old dude now, and he's arguably getting quicker. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Guy, it's a machine.
Okay, so let's talk about a few racers' bikes you've seen over the years. So I know you're a big fan of race setups and stuff.
I am, especially obviously on the EWS scene and stuff like that. So we've got Maze's bike up first, which you can now see on screen quickly there, his GT. Very tidy looking bike. He does a few things here. So first up, this isn't weird, quite a few people are starting to do it, but mixed wheel size, so he's on the mullet. A Fox 36 as opposed to a 38 with 150mm all the way around, which is actually on the lower end of the scale for a lot of riders out there. A lot of people will actually get to 170, even 180 sometimes. Yeah. So
I wonder why that is. I mean, you can kind of see it the way he rides, but
he has it set up very firm.
Yeah, and he tends to push into the terrain a lot, so maybe you lose some of that feeling with a longer travel bike.
Dude's also a powerhouse. He only runs a 1445 cassette.
Yeah.
No 50, 51, 52s there.
Yeah,
I
didn't know that about a cassette. That's quite ridiculous, actually.
Yeah.
He's super fit, isn't he?
But I mean, and I can tell you from those big days, you're like, oh, thank God for that 52 felt back. But he's like, 45, no problem. And also, he doesn't brake, basically, so he only runs 180mm rotors, front and back.
So he adjusts his speed rather than gets on the anchors.
Just doesn't brake.
I like that.
Yeah.
See, that to me feels like a downhill racer.
Yeah,
no downhill racers hard on the anchors. They're always like fine tuning as a riding.
Yeah,
he's pretty good in the downhill bike, to be fair.
He's not shabby, is he? He's not too slow at all.
Also, Jack Moyer, he's pretty good in the downhill bike too.
Dude turned his hand to both this year and got stonking results.
Looks like someone gave him the wrong size bike though.
A lot of people have been sort of thinking about this. So the guy's 6'4", as are you, I believe.
I think he's a shade taller than me.
Okay, but I knew you were tall. 6'4", 6'3". And he rides a size large, which is what I ride at 6 foot.
See, it puzzles me.
Baffled.
But it does go to show, though, it's down to your preference. There's a guideline for what you should be looking at.
Yeah. Now, the opposite to Mace, he's running 220mm rotors front and rear.
Wow.
And 170mm travel with a Zeb up front.
That's bizarre, isn't it? So massive brakes, massive travel, and a bike that's really small.
Oh, there's more, Dolly.
Okay.
He runs the 52-tooth cassette as well.
Oh, yeah.
The 952.
Well, that's fine. We can all sympathise with that. Well, I'll tell you what might add into that equation. Being a tall rider, even though he's quite slim, he's going to be heavy.
Yes.
Heavier riders, naturally, they're just not as good at climbing. It's the weight.
Okay.
Not the physicality of how strong you are and how good
It's
you are
not-
at climbing.
yeah.
You will always be slower than a lighter rider. It's just
You are carting more up that hill, aren't you?
yeah. So sometimes you do need those big gears.
A really cool little actual detail on his bike, because he is a tall dude, is that he's got a custom-made like stem, not stem stack, but like a stack under the head tube to jack the front end up
Wow.
even higher.
Sounds a bit
on
like
top of the
Jim
one,
Davidge. Used to ride tiny little bikes with
Yes.
stem like up here.
savage damage. So on top of that 170mm fork, he's then got an extra stack under the head tube, bring it up even higher.
Interesting. Yeah,
Mental.
I see he's running that new Zeb fork on there as well, so he's got probably one of the stiffer forks on the market.
Yeah, true that. Finding Daly, the little Frenchman,
Yeah.
running the mixed wheel sizes. Some pretty fancy wheels, are Zip motos. We don't see a lot of those around, actually.
Those things are amazing. You know
Very
the
good
principle
wheels.
behind those? So you have like a stiff one on the rear and essentially a more compliant wheel on the front.
Ah, okay.
So you've got not only got a little bit more traction on the front end, but it's a bit easier on you, and the rear end is a bit stiffer just to help you through.
Yeah, very nice. Well, the fast Frenchie is making not a comeback this year, but after like a savage injury he had, he's getting back up to pace and looking quick on those half flexi, half non-flexi wheels.
I'd like to throw in Kate Courtney as well. Obviously a cross-country racer, but she's had some of the trickiest bikes this year. I know it's been a very bizarre year and a very short season, but her mechanic, BB Copeland, or Brad Copeland, has built her some amazingly cool bikes. So you can see just a few shots on screen.
Tasty, yeah. And lots of love as well, obviously, as we said, for that super calibre of the Trek team.
Yeah, it just looks
Under
right,
Evie
doesn't
Richards, who smashed that bike round some XC laps this year.
And made some French people look a bit bizarre at times. What's your favourite racer's bike of the year then? Let's just finish on that.
My favourite bike of the year, crikey, it would have to be, you throw me out here, Richie Rude's Yeti.
Oh,
I like it.
that poor bike. How is it still in one piece?
It winces on every turn, probably on every straight as well. But you know, the Shimano setup, the Fox Forks, it's a lovely bike, that one.
Yeah,
very nice.
No, I agree. They're amongst my favourites. I said it already. I think Menards V10. It's never a bike I'd want or desire to have, but I just really appreciate how they got there and what it's enabling
I feel like
racers to do.
I'd want that on my living room wall.
Yes, work of art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. What have been your favourite bikes of the year, and what categories do you like the most? What categories do you like the least? What do you think of Downcountry, more importantly? Fire away in those comments underneath.
And if you've got like a favourite pro bike as well, let us know what your favourite pro bikes, or if you sort of noticed any cool things that the guys have been doing as well. We'd love to see anything that we may have missed.
Yeah, there's going to be a few, so get involved in those comments and we'll pick them up on a show soon. See you later.